Hello my friends, hello my besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexis and welcome to my May and June reading wrap up. We're doing something different in 2025. Instead of doing monthly wrap ups, I'm doing bi-monthly wrap ups. So today it's every book I read in May and June. Crack open a cold one real quick. And by a cold one I mean an orange Olipop. These are my favorite. I just wish they weren't so expensive. We're going to do this in chronological order, so we're going to start with the books that I read in the beginning of May. My first read for May was Wild and Wrangled by Miss Lila Sage, and I loved this so much. This is the fourth book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and I'm gonna miss this universe so much. If you don't know, it's a series of interconnected cowboy romances set in a small town, and they're phenomenal. I sincerely recommend every single book in the series. I gave all of them 4 stars and above. This is the last one in the series and it follows Cam and Rusty. These are both characters that we're introduced to in the previous book, so we already know a little bit about them going into it. Cam is a single mom and this is a second chance romance with her high school sweetheart Rusty. He is like the tattooed guy who doesn't stay down for very long, and he even has a tattoo for her. It is now and then timelines, and it's just so sweet and tender and lovely, and I loved watching these two come back together and fall back in love, and just I can't recommend Lila Sage enough. If these have been on your radar, take this as your sign to read them. They are so worth it. After that, I did a reread of The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This is the Lynn Painter book I remember the least about, so I decided to go ahead and give it a reread because I just couldn't remember a lot of the details about it. I think because I first read it in literally one sitting. I really enjoyed my reread of this. There were so many details and parts of the story that I didn't remember from my first time around, so rereading it was very refreshing, and I still did end up giving it 5 stars. This is a young adult time loop romance about our main character Emily. She has the worst Valentine's Day imaginable, like, ever. Like, she gets broken up with, her dad's moving, just all of these horrible things. There's a car accident. It's rough. Girl is going through it, and no matter what she does, she always ends up running into Nick, the male main character. The two slowly fall in love, and just this book is so lovely and heartwarming, and I think the character growth in this book is phenomenal. I really enjoy Emily's character and how she goes from caring so much about everything to just being a bit more free-spirited and growing throughout the repeat Valentine's days. This is very quick, very cute, and I think if you're looking for something just to read in like one afternoon sitting, you need something that'll be a little more lighthearted but also get you emotionally invested, then I would recommend The Do-Over. After The Do-Over, I went straight into the deep end with Fearless by Lauren Roberts. This had been one of my most anticipated releases for a long time, but then I chickened out and waited so long to read it because I was scared, okay? I feel like this book took me so long to get through, and part of that is that it is massively thick and there's a lot of plot going on. But I think it was a great finale for the series. This is the 3rd book in the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. I was pretty happy with the ending. To be honest, I don't feel like I have a lot of thoughts on it. I wasn't as emotionally invested in this particular book compared to how I felt when I was reading the first book, but I do think that if you enjoyed the first book or if you're debating this series, it does conclude very nicely, and I'm excited to see what else she wants to do with this world since there are going to be some more novellas coming out in the future. Oh my god, my bookmark is still in here. I'm not even surprised. I am chronically awful at leaving my bookmarks in books that I have finished or want to read. After that, back to Fluffy Cute, we have a Sarah Adams book, The Match. I've been meaning to read this for the longest time, so I decided to pick it up on audiobook. This is so quick. This book is teeny tiny, and I think I listened to the audiobook in like one day. Like, it was, I think, I listened to audiobooks on 2 times speed, so for me, I think this was like a 3-hour long audiobook, and this was very cute. It was very heartwarming, and it made me very giddy. He is a single dad, and she's that girl. Her name is Evie, and she struggles with epilepsy, and she works for a company that helps match guide dogs to people with disabilities. So they end up meeting, and it's kind of an unfortunate first meet because they didn't realize that they were like going to be meeting each other, and it's miscommunication-y and it's a little grumpy. They don't like each other the most right off the bat, but eventually he ends up getting a guide dog for his daughter who has epilepsy, so she is like helping them get assimilated with the dog, and she's visiting their house constantly, and it's so cute. It's a little bit like Dislike to Lovers, and it's very heartwarming, and the way that they open up to each other and slowly begin to understand each other more just had my heart on the floor. I loved the epilepsy representation. I thought it was fantastic, and I love that this character Evie was so lively and so full of hope and positivity despite her disability. Like, I think that this was a book with great disability rec in my opinion. I really liked it. I thought it was great. The romance was absolutely adorable. I love how he took care of her. I love how she blended into the family. I loved the dogs, and I think that this is one of my surprising new favorites from Sarah Adams. I really enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend it. On to another romance. This one I have lots of opinions on, and that is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I actually did vlog when I was reading this book, and actually this book too, so if you want to watch that, go and watch that. This one was one I had mixed feelings on. It was the 2nd book I've ever read by Abby Jimenez, and I loved the first 75%. Like, I was weak in the knees wobbling on the floor. I love this book so much. I love the characters. I love the chemistry. Like, I was actually losing my mind with how much I was like physically like, oh my god, I love them. I love them so much. It's Brianna and Jacob, and they are both working in the same hospital together, and they kind of get off on a bad note. But one day, Jacob decides to write her a letter, and they kind of become like pen pals. They're leaving each other notes and letters, and that slowly ends up being texting and friendship. And he is like social anxiety introvert to the max, and she's a little bit less of that, so they're have that bit of opposites energy when it comes to their social levels and what they're interested in and their comfort zones. But the way that they blend together and the way they meet each other halfway just like had my heart. And there's this whole repeating conversation they have throughout the book about being harmless to each other and the concept of being harmless to one another. And it also had the only one bed / like locked in a room together for its proximity trope, and I was on the floor. The romance was so tender and I loved it so much. Then there were some things that happened from the 75% mark to the end that I was kind of shocked by there, and that kind of diminished my rating a bit, because I went from loving this like comforting warm book to it being like, oh my god, there's plot twists and like things are happening that I wasn't expecting, and it was kind of whiplashy to me. Like, I was like, oh okay, this is happening now. And it just, that ending wasn't my favorite, but I did like the romance a lot, and I feel like I just wasn't prepared for what the ending was, and that's why I rated it a little bit lower. But otherwise, this was like a phenomenal book, and I thought the romance was incredible. Ping-ponging back to Sarah Adams, I then read The Enemy, which is the other book that goes with The Match. They're interconnected standalones. I think one of the main characters is like a sibling or a friend to one of the other book's main characters. I don't quite remember. It's an enemies to lovers story, and it was not my favorite. I did read this a few years ago, but I decided to go back and reread it after reading The Match, because I loved The Match like so much. Like, I loved The Match so much. I was like, maybe I don't remember this one as well as I should have, and maybe it's like secretly amazing. But like, it's enemies to lovers, second chance romance, and they like knew each other in high school, and they were academic rivals, and they kind of liked each other but also kind of not, but just like didn't do it for me. I didn't care for either character. I kind of found the female main character to be a little bit annoying, almost like very millennial in like a derogatory way. I think I got a lot of secondhand embarrassment from her and from their interactions. I just didn't really care much for either character, so this book fell pretty flat for me. I think I ended up giving it like 2.5 stars. So like, I wouldn't really recommend this one, but I would recommend the other one, and you really do not need to read the other one to understand what was happening in either book, because the characters barely make appearances. Like, I think her brother might be the male main character in the other book, but like, it's not really that prevalent. And then I'm not joking about like ping-ponging, because the next book is back to Abby Jimenez, so I like Sarah, Abby, and that is Say You'll Remember Me. This was one of my book club's book pick of the months, and I was very interested to read this, and I'm pleasantly mixed on this. Like, I liked a lot of aspects of it, but I also wasn't expecting it to be so sad. This was by far the saddest book that I read from Abby Jimenez, and I was kind of like, I feel like stabbed a little bit like in the heart with some of the things that was going on, and I was a lot more emotionally torn up about the events in this book than any of the other ones. Like, I really felt the tension and the stress and like the worry that the characters were feeling in this book. And also, as someone who has been in a long distance relationship, these two aren't really like, they're not like necessarily long distance dating, but they like each other and they're long distance. The pining and like I felt it. Like, this, I think depending on if you've been in a long distance relationship or not, you might not fully understand how they feel while being away from each other, but I kind of got it, and that made me sad, but then also a lot of the other events in the book made me sad. So I look back on this, I'm like, I am happy with where the characters ended up. I am happy with their romance. I thought it was a great story. I thought it was well crafted. I loved the character development. I loved him. I loved her, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I could ever reread this, because it just made me feel kind of like sad and depressed a little bit. I still gave it 4 stars. Like, I still thought it was a great book. I thought it was well written. I liked it. I think one of my only critiques I can think of off the top of my head is that for some reason they kept saying that this guy was the real life Rysand, and that kind of annoyed me. I'm not a total hater of pop culture references in books, but I did find it a little annoying, because there was not really a need. You could just say he was like tall, dark, and handsome, and that would have done the same thing. But like, he's compared to Rysand from ACOTAR several times in the beginning of the book, and it's like, what are we doing here? And those are all the books that I read in May. What is that, like 7 books? 1, 2, 3, 7 books. That's a few more than what I read in June, because May was a bit more of a stable month for me. June got a bit chaotic because I actually started a new job, and I am liking it very much, but it's been a big adjustment leaving my old job, adjusting to new habits, new time, so I did read a little bit less. in June. First book I read in June was Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. I read this book in I think 2 sittings and absolutely ate it up. It's Lynn's upcoming YA hockey romance, and it's a bit of like childhood best friend second chance romance. The female main character only ever visited the town that they both live in now during the summer, so they were like childhood best friends just for the summer. But then in present day, she and her mom moved back to this town to live with her grandpa, and the pair, like the two besties, Danny and Alec, end up running into each other again and having a second chance romance. There's some miscommunication in the past, so both of them had a reason to dislike each other in their minds, but they end up slowly falling for each other again and, you know, like getting over that resentment, and it was very sweet. He's a hockey player, like star of the hockey team. Her grandpa is also like a total hockey star, and I really liked the family dynamics. I liked the found family energy. I really liked Alec. I thought he was such a sweetheart, and there are a few scenes that had me like kicking my feet and like truly just so giddy and excited because the tension was incredible. I really liked this. Like this, my favorite Lynn Painter book of all time is Betting on You, and I think this is like up there with like my top 3 Lynn Painter books, and that's coming from someone who has read all of Lynn Painter's books. I don't remember when it comes out. I will put that info on the screen here, but highly recommend, especially if you like Lynn Painter, you're going to love this book. It is so Lynn Painter. After that book, I listened to Dishonest Yours by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and this book was so tea. This was so drama, and I ate it up, and I'm currently waiting on my library hold for the audiobook for the second book, and I'm so excited for when it comes in because this book was messy. Follows our main character Phoebe. She was born into a family of con artists, but she and her best friend decide to leave that all behind, start fresh in a small town, and leave conning behind. But they weren't expecting for her best friend's older brother to show up and kind of like mess it up for them. Those two have such crazy chemistry and such a wild romance, and this is told in past and present, so we're getting some like the mundane new life they're trying to build for themselves while also getting all these tales and stories and throwbacks to the different cons that they pulled off. And there were some scenes in this book where I was literally trying to do my job and the stuff was happening on page and I was just like, I can't function. Like, I can't go back to work right now because the stuff that's happening in this book was just absolutely unhinged. It is messy, it is dramatic, it is very interesting. All the characters are a little bit problematic, but it was such a fun, wild read, and I'm really excited to read the next book because it was just like engaging and gripping and tea. Like, it was Gossip Girl, XOXO Gossip Girl, dramatic. There's something about messy rich people with such different problems that is just so fun to read about. After that, I read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I am so happy I read this. I was a little bit nervous going in. I'm sure everyone has seen the discourse about this book and if it's good or not. And like, to me, I'm like, yeah, no, this was good. This was 4 stars. This was a romance. I mean, like, it was literary fiction, and obviously it's literary fiction, but like, this was no less romantic than any of her other books. I thought I really liked this. This book is pretty much Taylor Swift's The Last Great American Dynasty, but as a fictional book. It follows 2 writers who are in this small island competing to earn a very coveted job position with a very elusive woman named Margaret, and she has a very, very infamous family but has been out of the media for like years upon years at this point. So the 2 of them are trying to compete to earn the ability to write her biography for her, and then they obviously fall in love. I really like this. I love the male main character. I love how hard to read he was, but I also just, these 2 are very opposite tracks, but in the best way, where he's like this reclusive, grumpy, anxious guy who cares a lot but doesn't seem like it, and she is bubbly, maybe too optimistic. I adored the backstory that was going on with Margaret. I adored that whole thing, especially listening to it on audiobook. It was like listening to drama, just nonstop drama and tea and gossip, and I really liked that. I also loved their romance, and like, they're both really tall, which comes up a lot in the book, and they're always accidentally like brushing into each other. And just, I also loved like the world that this took place in, and I have been seriously eyeballing the out of print merchandise for it. I will like put the shirt here. I want it so bad. The story was so atmospheric, and I genuinely desperately need to buy this t-shirt. I just keep putting it off, but if you see me in that t-shirt, know that I'm repping this book hard. After that, I read Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This was interesting. I have mixed feelings, and I actually have a vlog coming out about this, I think next week or so, called Is Spark of the Everflame Worth the Hype? I had very mixed feelings about this, and I could dive into it for a while since I have spent a lot of time reflecting on the book and trying to come up with if I think that this is a book I would recommend reading or not. But the short of it is I rated it 3.5 stars. It is the first in a romantasy series. There's 4 books. The first 3 are out. It follows our main character, Diem. She's in a very interesting world where the humans are pretty much worthless garbage, and the only people that really matter are the descended, who are people who come from the gods. Like, the gods came down to earth, had kids, and now the descended are the ancestors of those kids. This book was very interesting. I liked the setup for it, but I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. I think I am going to keep reading the series though, because I want to see where it goes. This book just felt very prologue-y. But if you want to hear more about this book in particular, I did talk so much in that video, so I will recommend you check that out when it's out. And the last book I read in June is quite a bit of a bummer, and that is Change of Heart by Fallon Ballard. I am so sad. I really enjoy Fallon Ballard. I enjoy her books so much. And like I went out and bought an autographed copy of this book because I was so excited to read it, and I love Fallon Ballard. But I did not like this book. I, dare I say, hated it, maybe? Tried so hard to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, I was reaching every way I possibly could to give this the benefit of the doubt, and I just didn't like it. I'm sorry, Fallon. I like the concept of it. It's very much like a novel love story where the female main character is trapped in a fictional-ish town, and she has to fall in love to get out of it. But I hate the female main character. I hate her. And the male main character was nothing. He was a blank piece of paper. The female main character is one of those characters where her whole personality is like New York lawyer, where she's just like a workaholic, and she's blunt, and she's rude, and she values having time over everything else. Not like free time, like time to work over everything else, working 80 hours a week, no BS, and that's a fine character. But she was just like insufferable. Like no human decency, no kindness, very frustrating, and I got 80% into this book and she was not getting any better. Even when she would talk to the male main character, she was still kind of a jerk, and she wasn't getting better. It wasn't like she was like internalizing anything or learning a lesson or getting better and becoming a kinder person. She was just still frustrating. I was grumpy about it, and the male main character seemed very cute, and there were traits of his that I liked, but he was such a background to his own romance story. Yeah, it's her story, but if he's the love interest, then why do I know nothing about him? Why do I feel like I know very little about him? You pick up a lot of things in this book about him and like what his role is, because he's a real person. He's another real person trapped in this like magical town that they're both stuck in, and you pick up all these like signals about who he is and why he's there. But if she's a lawyer and she's so smart, I was like, if I'm picking up on like the clues and the hints, how are you not doing it? Come on, girl, you're a lawyer. You have some common sense. Please just... I got to 80% and I was like, I'm trying so hard to give this woman the benefit of the doubt and to try to read this and not be grumpy, but I just couldn't. And I felt very validated when I went on Goodreads because a lot of people had the same opinion as me, and I was like, okay. I feel less alone because a lot of people were like, I love Fallon Ballard, but I did not. I did not like this or love this at all, so... All in all, those are all the books that I read in May and June of this year. If you've read any of these, let me know, or if you had similar opinions or different opinions, let me know, comment down below. You're always also welcome to message me on Instagram or TikTok. Those are always linked down in the description. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you were having an amazing, amazing reading month for July, and I look forward to doing another wrap-up in, gosh, what, October? No, it's on, no, September? September. I look forward to doing another video like this in September. Okay, bye!